Your mental health called and it wants you to make ugly art today. I'm Courtney, artist and self-appointed leader of the ugly art movement. And we are here today to talk about how ugly art can help you with your mental health. So I'm going to give you 5 different activities, and I'm going to talk about some of the benefits, but I'm also going to give you 5 different ugly art activities that you can do today to help you with your mental health. None of these ugly art / art therapy techniques should replace proper counseling and psychological help. If you need help with your mental health for whatever reason, please make sure you reach out and you speak to a healthcare professional. I will put some Australian numbers in my description so that if this is you and you want to talk to somebody, you are able to call these numbers and talk to somebody. Otherwise, go see your GP, talk to them about a healthcare plan, and then use these as an extra thing just to try. These are not replacement for good quality therapy. So there are some major big benefits of viewing ugly art for your mental health. One of the big ones is letting go of perfectionism, which is the killer of creativity. The perfectionism can come out in different ways. Feeling like you're maybe not good enough, feeling those little voices in your head that tell you that you're not doing things the right way. Well, this can help that. So that's another big benefit, is about silencing some of those negative self-talk that happens in your head. That those art critics that live up here all the time. But each one of these activities kind of works a little bit different with our brain function. So I'm going to have a little chat to you about each one as we do it. So I think let's get stuck straight in. The first one we're going to talk about today is using your non-dominant hand. I've spoken about this before. I did a whole video on doing it, but I think I'm going to tell you again about using your non-dominant hand. I'm right-handed. So by me simply using my non-dominant hand, this is true for if you're left or right-handed normally. By using your non-dominant hand, you are automatically losing a little bit of control. So when you hold your pencil really close and cling it really tight, you can, it's like you're controlled, and in your head you're automatically thinking your art needs to look a certain way. But using your non-dominant hand, you're letting go, you're freeing. And just by that simple action of holding your brush or your pencil or your crayon or your pastel in that non-dominant hand can be permission for yourself to be free and be loose and expressive and not worry about that final product. Because you know that final product is not going to be perfect, and it is not going to be pretty, and it might be a bit ugly. So you put less pressure on yourself to make something amazing. There's another massive benefit of using your non-dominant hand. Unfortunately, well, fortunately and unfortunately, so I already said I'm right-handed, so this works really well for me. When you use your right hand, you activate your left side of your brain. When you use your left hand, you activate your right side of your brain. Let me tell you a little bit about your 2 sides of your brain. Your left side of your brain is a very logical thinking side of your brain. It's mathematical. It's also where we also get we can get a little bit stuck in a problem. This happened. This must be. I'm overthinking everything. It's kind of your thinking logical side of your brain. So if you are an overthinker, like me, when you use your right hand, you are actually activating that side of your brain. So when I use my left hand, I'm starting to activate my right side of my brain. Let me tell you about this amazing side of your brain. Your right side of your brain is in charge of your artistic ability, creativity, spatial awareness. It's more of a feeling side of your brain. So by holding something in your left hand and drawing and painting, you're activating that side of your brain. So what actually ends up coming out is going to be more creative by using your left hand. Now, take a note, I always say this, take a note of how many artists you know who are actually left-handed, because you'll find that a lot of left-handed people, I'm not saying all, but a lot of them end up in creative jobs because that side of their brain is activated. So when we use our non-dominant hand, we can often pull ourselves from one side to the other. So with our mental health, when we're not feeling great, when we're feeling down, we're feeling stressed, it's because we are too far on one side of our brain. So that means we are either overthinking the heck out of everything, or I am feeling feelings that are greater than I should. And so it's the two extremes. We want to activate the opposite side. We want to activate the other side of our brain. So if you are left-handed, pop it into your right hand. It might even start prompting you to start thinking through some of these things that you've been feeling really terrible about and looking at it in a more logical way. Like, it's okay that happened. We make mistakes. My boss will forgive me, whatever is going on there. For me, I overthink everything. Popping it into my left hand, it'll make me go, I'm allowed to be compassionate to myself. Start feeling some of those feelings, maybe even some of the sadder feelings and things like that, and be able to move through them. But then making something really cool because I've used my creative side of my brain. Just saying. It's going to be different for everyone. So don't feel like you've tried this, doesn't work, that's it, I'm a failure. Definitely not the case. By using our non-dominant hand, we can get used to not being perfect, embracing the failure, embracing the ugly, embracing that whole aspect, so that when things happen in our real life that makes us feel like a failure or makes us feel like we're not good enough, we're able to actually deal with those better because we've been practicing doing that in our ugly art. So we get better at dealing with those things, because those feelings are going to come up, but it's about how we are able to better deal with them. Number 2 is a fairly new addition to my tool belt of ugly art techniques, and it's called bilateral drawing. I did a video on this last week where we looked at heaps of different ways to do bilateral drawing. You can use any medium, you can do it as big or as small as you want, you can go as fast or as slow as you like, you can do it on top of each other, to the side, you can work on different parts. It's cool. Bilateral drawing is essentially using both hands at the same time. So this kind of builds on non-dominant hand. So that whole, if we're too much on one side of our brain, we want to shift across. Well, this actually, by using both of our hands at the same time, we are able to get our brain, our two hemispheres of our brain, to communicate with each other at the same time. And so what ends up happening is there's connections in our brains that aren't happening for us. So bilateral drawing is so commonly used in art therapy. So by making those connections, we're able to more easily regulate our nervous system. And it's our nervous system that's in charge of those anxiety-based responses. So for example, when you're feeling anxious, I get a headache because of the tension in my head. Sometimes I feel sick in my guts. That's actually my nervous system that is making those type of anxious responses. So by using my two-handed drawing or bilateral drawing, I am able to calm my system. And hopefully, I'm not saying this happens every single time, but hopefully you can alleviate those anxious symptoms, the sick in your guts, the headache, the feeling really tense. Hopefully that reduces and our brain is able to process that easier because of the connections. Those two sides of your brain are both working. They're both working, and you're able to think both logically, creatively about problems and issues, which is the best way to get ourselves out of a funk, for lack of a better word. I call them funks. I'm not going to talk too much about this because I'm not much of an expert about it, but it has been used to help heal trauma and help process PTSD. I don't know a heap about it, but if this is you, if you fall into that area and you have PTSD for whatever reason, whether it's something that I consider big or small, or whatever, doesn't matter. Your trauma is your trauma. It's big for you, and that's all that matters. You might like to try this. Give it a whirl. Just try it a couple of minutes here and there when you start feeling a little bit triggered, when you start feeling some of those trauma responses start coming out. Get something in both hands and just scribble. It doesn't have to be a picture. It can be just scribble. I'm just going to scribble with both hands. And you want to try, if you can, go big so that you've got lots more movement. We're not swimming, sorry, that looked like I was swimming. So yeah, I don't know much more than that about this, and there's some brilliant people out there, so Google it. If you're interested in this, Google it, or just try it. There is no harm in trying. If you try it for a couple of days and you find it is not helping, that's okay. We try something different. Different things are going to work for different people. I do always recommend, if you're going to try this for something like trauma and PTSD, that you try it for every day for 2 weeks, and just to see how you go. Because the first day you do it, you might be feeling very reluctant to do this, but then the 6th or 7th day, you start opening yourself up to it more and more. So yeah, I do recommend using different things, but I am not an expert. Activity 3. So my third one, number 3, we're up to number 3, in case you've lost count, is just a layered mess. And I literally mean that, a layered mess. If you're into mixed media, you get all the media out, layer it up, have multiple sketchbooks on the go. My B-roll, which should be playing over the top of me, you will see that I use multiple sketchbooks on the go. So if I put a layer of watercolor down, I can be moving on to the next sketchbook and putting something else down. And then 2 of my sketchbooks might be drying while I'm drawing in another one. This one's not quite as scientific as the first 2. This one literally just encourages play. It encourages exploration, which helps release emotional clutter. And what I mean by that is, when your brain's like, ugh, just get it out. And so by doing this layered approach, we're making abstract artworks, at least to begin with. I love my animals, so I end up using the last couple of layers to make an animal, whether I stick it in afterwards or whatever, whether it's an abstract background with an animal on top or whatever it is. But it's mess. We're making mess. Even if you are making a picture, an abstract landscape, you want it to be abstract. We are making a mess. And this is again one of those really good ones that help us to let go of that perfection. That it's okay. It helps us to get better at dealing with the fact that we're going to stuff up every now and then. We're going to feel like a failure every now and then, but it's okay, because it's in the failing that we get better. So we want to practice these skills You might not think it, but getting better at dealing with failure, dealing with making mistakes is a skill. It's a skill we have to teach kids that unfortunately our school system, welcome to my TED Talk, our school system doesn't have the time to teach all our kids that. We don't have the time in the curriculum to teach them how to deal with failure, how to deal with mistakes. We just want to get to that end outcome. So as adults, we get to this point where we hate making mistakes, and we get into a job and we make a mistake because we're human and we all make mistakes, and we don't know how to deal with that. We don't know how to process those emotions. The way you learn how to process that and how to is by putting yourself in that. So let's make a mess. Let's make mistakes. And let's start, the more we start making more mistakes, start making more ugliness, we start feeling more comfortable with the mistake. We start feeling more comfortable with the failure. And in our head, we shift that mindset of, no, failure's the worst. We cannot fail. Do not fail. We shift from that to, it's okay to fail. It's all right. Our brains work better when we show it, not tell it. I can tell you 1,000,000 times that it's okay to fail, but it's not going to get through unless you do it. So do it. Get the ugly colors out. Get the colors you know don't work together. Slap them down. Get some different materials. Slap them on. And if it's still ugly at the end, yes! Good. Perfect. We want to fail. Make a mess. Do it. Number 4 is a strategy that I've used for a very long time. It's one of my first techniques that I employed to make ugly art, and that's doing blind contour drawings. The reason I love this one so much and encourage everybody to do it is because while you're drawing and you're not looking at your actual drawing, so blind contour drawing is where you only look at your reference picture and not the page where you're drawing, and you do one continuous line on your page, but you don't look at it, so you don't know what it looks like until you're finished. And the reason I love that is because while you're drawing, those little art critics up here don't have a chance to have an opinion. So for a minute or two, you can go slow, you can do it for 10 minutes if you want. I tend to find my blind contour drawings are about a minute. So for that minute, I am not critical of myself. It's like a minute break from those negative voices in my head. It's a reprieve. It's a breath. It's a take a breath. And again, a bit like the making the mess, the more you get used to, oh my gosh, look, I made something ugly. I made something that I'm never going to show another human being again, and that's okay. The more I do that, the better I get. The better I get at silencing those critics, because it doesn't matter. If I fail, it doesn't matter. If I make a mistake, it doesn't matter. So the more we practice this with different strategies, the better. It interrupts that overthinking and also brings us into the present. So when I was seeing a psychologist, she explained to me that our brains are a bit like a three-legged table. So there's a leg for feeling, there's a leg for doing, and there's a leg for thinking. When you are feeling down and anxious and stuff, usually it's because you're too heavily in the feeling leg. And when you're in that leg, the other two legs are doing nothing. What happens to your table? It falls over. So in order to get out of that deep feeling leg is by doing something where you're thinking and doing but not feeling. So she recommended singing. I love singing, so I did a lot of singing. Singing's good because you're thinking and you're doing, but for me, I wasn't feeling. I wasn't worrying about whether I was singing well. I was just singing. Sometimes I could just be humming. Blind contour drawing is similar, because while you're doing it, you're thinking, you're looking at them, you're thinking about them, and you're cutting out that feeling, and you can help balance your table again. My last one that I've got for you, my last activity, number 5, is gratitude drawing. This is something that I haven't really done much before. I've done a little bit recently. So gratitude, you've probably heard the saying, gratitude is the source of joy. Another thing I struggle to find gratitude for are the things I already have, the things that are already in my life. Because I often stress about the things that I don't have. I don't have a farm. I want to be on a farm. I don't have a beautifully manicured studio where I can do my filming with a beautiful white wall behind me. And I often can't afford a great deal of art supplies. And these things get me down. And sometimes the things that gets me out of that is by noticing what I do have. What I do have is a 2-car garage for my studio. And so few people have that. I'm so lucky to have that. I have 3 beautiful dogs. They are the light of my life. I have an amazing partner, a beautiful stepson. So this is how to bring in ugly art into this. This is something I was like, how can I bring the gratitude for the things I've got in my life with the ugly art? How do I marry them together? So I started drawing them. I started, my partner doesn't like sitting there, so I draw a picture of him, and I use different ugly art techniques. You might use your left hand, you might use blind contour drawing. I use blind contour drawing quite a lot with observational drawing, because it increases my skills too. I get better at drawing people when I do blind contour. Even though it turns out a bit dodgy, you get better and better at it. So I do blind contour drawing, I might do left-handed drawing, I might do double-handed drawing, and just go around your house. If you don't have a 2-car garage for your art studio, what do you have? Have you got that desk? I've got this desk. And look, I've got this art supply and this art supply, and I'm so grateful that I've got that Winsor & Newton watercolor palette, or I'm so grateful that I've got this. And actually, I'm actually really grateful that I've got my job that I hate, but it pays the bills. I can pay the bills. And for that, I'm grateful for that. So go around your house. What are some of the things you're so happy that you have in your life? It's not just thank you, it's I'm so happy I've got this in my life. It could be people, it could be dogs, it could be things. It doesn't have to. I'm so happy that my brother gave me this pod coffee machine. I'm not a coffee drinker, but my partner loves it. So it's like, is it a coffee machine, or is it you've got this amazing pan that you cook with that you love? Draw it. Do you love strawberries and you've got a punnet of them in the fridge at the moment? Draw it. What are the things you love? And because what I find is you start training your brain into finding the good things, the beautiful things, the nice things, the things that you're happy for. Are you grateful you've got a beautiful garden? Go draw it. That flower is like, I've got these amazing kangaroo paw at the moment, and it's flowering and it is so good. So good. So grateful that's in my life because I love seeing it. So you're training your brain to look for the good things. Have you ever noticed when you're about to buy a new car or get something like a big purchase, suddenly you notice it everywhere? Oh, I want to get a sausage dog. Suddenly everyone has a sausage dog. But actually it's not the case. They were always there. I'm just now suddenly looking for it because I want to get a sausage dog. Well, I've got 3 sausage dogs. This is just an example. I want to get a sausage dog. So suddenly I'm noticing, oh my God, everyone's got sausage dogs. Look at that sausage dog, look at that sausage dog, look at that sausage dog. Because I've trained my brain now to look for that thing. Same with when I'm getting a car. Oh my gosh, look, I've got an Isuzu D-Max. I've had it for 7 years or something. Suddenly, when I was about to buy it, suddenly everyone has an Isuzu D-Max. They've got a D-Max, they've got a D-Max, they've got a D-Max. Oh look, there's an MUX. Everyone's got an Isuzu. It's not that everyone does, it's just suddenly I'm noticing it. They were always there. This is what that activity does for you. It trains your brain to look for the good things in your life instead of concentrating on the shit things. And actually, when I was, again, seeing a different psychologist, I've seen psychologists my whole life, they explained to me that somebody who's been through a really traumatic experience, you can't actually convince them that it's not their fault. But what you can do is train their brain to focus on more positive things, their strengths, rather than the traumatic things. And it just becomes easier to deal with. Do some gratitude drawing. I would love you to tag me in anything over on Instagram, here on YouTube, anywhere you like. Tag me in it. I want you to go try it. Let me know how you go. If you don't try it, that's okay. Don't stress. All good. You're amazing as you are. You do what works for you. You do you, girl. You do you. Ugly art isn't just about making masterpieces, because I turn mine into masterpieces. It's about creating mental space. Space for you to feel, for you to move through issues and feelings and validate yourself and realize you're good enough. Ugly art is more powerful than you and I ever realized. So thank you so much for joining me today. Here is a video I did once a while back where I drew for half an hour every day for my mental health, and actually it wasn't as successful as I originally thought it would be. So if you want to have a watch of that, find out my tips from it, here it is, go for it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to do a few more of these in the next few months. Yeah, make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell icon if you don't want to miss out on any of them. Okay, see ya.